Dear relationship cynics and relationship romantics, my name is Monice, and you are listening to the Romantic Cynic podcast. We are a few days away from Christmas. On this episode, I wanted to focus on family, how important it is to be with family and friends that you have decided to make your family during this time of year. It doesn't matter if you're single or in a relationship, family is important. So I hope you enjoy me on today's episode where we might mix in some laughter, maybe some tears, maybe a little bit of romance, and no cynicism this time around. Welcome to episode 17. Before I jump right into this topic of family this week, if you're watching my episode, you'll notice I'm wearing glasses. I haven't been feeling well for the last week and a half, and so I had to start wearing my glasses because of it. I have a very strict type of schedule when it comes to recording my podcast. My best friend pointed out how much he admired the fact that I have a schedule and I stick with it. And so it's important to me that I'm always recording at least once a week. And so I'm pretty dedicated to my podcast and the content that I create. We can never be good at anything unless we are determined and have drive to achieve and accomplish the things that we want to accomplish in this life. I know I digress a little bit, but on this episode, I really wanted to talk about the importance of family, especially during the holidays. If you have been listening to my episodes, or if this is the first one you're listening to, welcome. And those that have been listening to my previous episodes, thank you so much for continuing to listen and support my channel and my content. But you may have already picked up on that, how important my family is to me. I have really amazing family on both sides, like my mom and my dad's side. I'm very close to my parents and my brother. And so any person that is personal, either friends of me, they know that in order to kind of get in with me, you have to kind of get in with my family. And my family are very wonderful, genuine people. We grew up in a household, my brother and I grew up in a household where it was filled with laughter and teasing and bantering and just heckling each other, but it was always in good fun and it was never hurtful. We have a saying in my household is if we are nice to you, it's because we probably don't like you. And if we joke with you, it's because we like you. So, I have friends that we tease each other and my family teases them and they tease back and forth. And it's like you're in with the family. That's like kind of a key ingredient. I know I always go with examples of my previous relationship with my now ex-husband. And he just was never the type of person to really joke and tease. And if he did, it was always that hurtfulness. He would always target my own insecurities about myself and would tease me mercilessly where I would be so upset. There are things about me that I had not been insecure about prior to the relationship I had with him. And once I got in a relationship with him, I became very insecure about certain things. For one, as a female, we are pretty sensitive when it comes to our physical bodies. And so when we have someone that supposedly loves us and is in a relationship with us and claims to care about us, and they find fault within what we look like, we really take that to heart, and it's never a pleasant place to be in. Going back to family. So my family and I, there's four of us, so we're kind of a small little family. But my dad, as I've shared in the past, my dad is one of 10 children. My mom is one um, of four children. But even though her family's kind of small compared to my dad's, the family outside of that, her immediate family, I mean, it's a huge family. Like I used to make jokes back in the day when I was like, oh, if I ever get married or when I get married, and I want to be able to invite all my family, I would have to invite like my side of the family alone would probably be like at least 200 guests because I have such a big family. And that doesn't even include friends of myself either. I remember when um, my ex-husband and I had gotten married. It was relatively small because we got married up in the Pacific Northwest because this is where we reside, and we are both originally from Southern California. But I remember, like, even in my wedding, um, I had very few family, and I had very few friends, and I would say like I want to say like 70 to 75% of our guests were from his side, and that would include family and just a ton of his friends. It was still pretty small. It was probably like less than 30 people, but still super tiny. Um, but family has always been important to me. It's something that drives me. It's something that I'm really passionate about, and the way to me is by getting to know my family and building a really good relationship, friendship with my family. But family, especially during this time of year, it's important to really reflect on the type of relationships you have with your family, even including your friends. I have some really close friends that I've met along the way that I would consider family. I have this one, she's like a second mom to me. Like I grew up with her two sons. And every time I go home, like one of the things I always do is I always go visit this woman and her family just because, she's been such a critical role model in who I am and who I was growing up. A little background. So I was, let's see, I want to say I was like 11 years old. Um, I went to the fairgrounds and I remember walking into this one building, and they had this one girl. She was dressed in white long sleeve, white pants. And I forget what color boots she was wearing, with a green scarf and a white hat. So those of you that are in that type of world or have um, been part of that world, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about 4-H. So I was in 4-H for a very long time. And so this woman was our 4-H leader for many years. And so she's a really wonderful woman, but I absolutely consider her family. Now I talk about the importance of family because this is who we have. This is what makes us us. I am exceedingly grateful and very blessed to have such a wonderful, tight-knit family that truly cares about us. Now, all family has a little bit of drama. We can have some drama ourselves. I mean, that's just the way of the world. I mean, no family is perfect, but I grew up with aunts and uncles who are just kind, wonderful, nice people. And so one of my biggest desires, one of my biggest dreams is that, the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with, at least when I was, it's still true today. Excuse me. I'm still a little sick, so my mind is a little out of sorts. Um, that they build some type of relationship with my family because my family is so important to me. Unfortunately, my ex-husband did not understand that. He did not understand the significance of my family because my family was not important to him. And it was very obvious, at a relatively early stage in our relationship. And again, if you followed me, I in my episodes, you will automatically know that I had um, ignored a lot of red flags. And the big reason why I ignored so many red flags is because I wanted to be in a relationship, no matter how much I knew deep down it was unhealthy, but I wanted to make this relationship work because I just wanted to be in a relationship, which is a kind of a horrible reason to be with someone. So I don't recommend that. And um, with my family, I tried my best to kind of introduce him to my parents and my brother. Not one time was he willing to drive, to go see my grandmother and my aunts and uncles. He never took the initiative, never wanted to do that. And for me, because I knew, at least in my opinion, I know how important family is. I always put forth the effort to get to know his mom and his dad and his sister and his brother-in-law. I always put in the effort. And that's a huge part of it, especially in relationships, is just putting in the effort to get to know your partner's family. It's not that hard. I mean, you don't have to necessarily like them, I mean, everyone has a right to an opinion. But if you know that your partner's family is important to you and you ignore that, that just makes you a really crappy person, to be quite honest. It makes you a selfish, crappy person if you don't take the time to get to know your significant other's family. I'm going to put a slight disclaimer on that statement because not every family is worth getting to know, because there could have been a number of circumstances, or maybe your significant other doesn't want to have a relationship with their family. So I don't want to put that entire scope of the importance on family to make that generalized comment. But if you know that your partner's family is important to them, it should be important to you. I've always been grateful for the people that have come in and out of my life, the ones that have really made an impression on me, and the ones that have stuck by me, and the ones that truly made the effort to get to know me. And, me being in a point in my life and really reflecting on everything, family, friends, career, everything like that, you realize how insignificant a lot of things are when you compare it to your family. I know that if, for example, you are single, it could be very difficult for you during this time of year. And I'm going to make myself just a little vulnerable to you, just so maybe you've experienced what I'm about to share with you. Maybe you haven't experienced what I'm going to share with you, or maybe this is something that you want to avoid, or maybe you're fearful of. And I always like sharing my own personal experiences with you. When I was married, um, I when I was able to go back home and visit family. So I would always try to visit my parents and my family every other year during Christmas time. And I just remember every year I visited, and what always got me was I'd always go home and I'd always be by myself. I didn't have my husband. because he never wanted to travel with me. He didn't want to go visit my family because whenever we did go home to visit family, it's like he spent, I'd say 95% of his time with his family and his friends, and maybe 5% with my family. But I was expected to spend at least 50% of my time with his family. Again, incredibly selfish person that he was. And so the little bit of the vulnerability that I want to share with you is like when I went home, I would get really sad and emotional because I was visiting my family. I didn't have my husband, now ex-husband, with me. We didn't have children together. So it was like I was just going home as an individual, in essence, kind of a single person without anyone else. And it makes me sad, year after year. It made me incredibly sad because I felt sometimes like I was a disappointment to my parents. And I know that's not true, but sometimes you just can't help feel that way. And so, those of you that are single and have been in that situation, I feel for you. And I'm here to tell you that even though those moments can be incredibly difficult and emotional and sad at times, you know, the relationship and the love that you have for your family is going to help you through those moments of vulnerability. I know it's something even more scary, but sharing how you feel, at least with someone that you truly trust, and it doesn't necessarily have to be with family. Maybe it's with a very close friend of yours. Maybe it's your best friend. But I think during this time, it's important to share how you're feeling and share what you are experiencing, because you're going to find out how much love your family and your friends have for you. So I hope that you found some comfort in this episode this week. And so my closing words to you are always this: be kind to yourself, know your self-worth, and love who you are as a person, or learn to love who you are as a person. If you are in a relationship, a healthy relationship, hold your partner close, tell them how much you love them and how much you appreciate them. If you're single, guess what? That is okay. Continue to build and to continue to learn who you are and become the best version of you. Thank you for listening. And as always, yours truly, the Romantic Cynic.